is something that we are all guilty of at one time or another. Whether you're new or you've been sewing for a while, you will also be guilty of this. I am sure of that. And that is not changing the blades in your rotary cutters. Yes, I'm talking to you. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. I'm going to change all 3 blades in these cutters. And then at the end, I'm going to
First off though, a quick trip to my local craft shop to pick up a nice fresh packet of blades.
The rotary cutters that I've got, and this is just 3 of my collection, are the standard 45mm blades. So I have 2 different ones that I thought I could show you, to show you the different types of packaging they come in. Now the first one comes in this really handy little plastic pot, and I've got maybe 5 in there, and you can see all the oil to keep these really well lubricated ahead of them going into the rotary cutter. The second pack that I bought is just in a cardboard pack. I don't like keeping them in the cardboard packet. I like to have them in one of these little plastic tubs. So they come, and then they're usually quite stuck together. So you need to be careful when you're changing your blades that you don't end up putting 2 blades in your rotary cutter at the same time, because that's really easy to happen. They're really sticky and oily, which is really good. That's what you want. So let's change them. I'm going to bring you over my shoulder so that you can watch what I'm doing. So I've got my 3 cutters here. Let's start with this one. So I'm going to keep next to me some kitchen towel and also just a little cloth. I'm not going to use the abrasive side, I'm going to use the soft side, and I'm just going to use that to clean this rotary cutter before I put the fresh blades in, and also I can wipe my hands if I get any oil on there. I've also removed all of my jewellery. So your rotary cutter, if you flip it over onto the back, you'll have some kind of mechanism that you can twist, and that just loosens the blade, she says. Here we go. So you're going to just unscrew that and take that off, and that should then loosen the front. Now just be really careful when you lift this off. Even though it's dull, it is still really sharp. So I'm going to put that onto this piece of paper here. Now the way to hold rotary cutter blades are never like this, they are always like this. You can see this one is very well used. Now look at the lint and the mess in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the kitchen towel. Let's just move these out the way, and I'm just going to give this a wipe. Now this is dry, it's a dry cloth, and I'm literally just going to wipe out any old residue and lint that might be inside. Give it a little flick. Right, there we go. So now we're going to put a nice fresh blade in here. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to give this a wipe as well. So I can see that's got... Right, okay. So now I'm very carefully going to lift out my blades, and I only want one. So I'm just going to take the top one, I'm going to slide it off, never touching that sharp edge if I can help it. Go, and then pop them back in. All right, so I'm going to pop this on here like that. Now, if you're finding that the front part of the mechanism isn't going on very easily, it's because if you have a look at the hole here, the bottom part of it is flat. Let's just make sure you can. The bottom part here is flat and the rest of it is curved. So you're going to pop your rotary blade on, and then if you have a look at the mechanism here, there'll be one side that is flat. So that's here, and if you can't see it, just run your finger around and you'll be able to feel it. So that flat piece there needs to be level and lined up with the flat piece on the rotary cutter. So I'm going to pop that at the bottom, and then should just fit straight through the hole. There we go. Then I'm going to hold it, flip it over, and add the screw to the back. And I'm just going to check that put my guard back on. the third and final. So this one looks a bit different because it's got the handle, but changing the blade will work in exactly the same way. So I normally find by putting my finger on the front bit, I can just get a bit of purchase on the back bit. There we go. So just going to lift that bit out and slide the blade out. Pop that on my old pile. Give this a little clean. This is probably the worst one. Third blade. Now this one has the flat edge on this side, so I'm just going to find the flat part of this screw that's there and then just drop that in. Pop my finger on, flip it over and add the screw onto the back. So you're probably wondering, how often do you need to change your rotary cutter blade? Well, the answer is as soon as you think it needs it. As soon as your rotary cutter isn't cutting at 100%, change it. It'll also depend on how much cutting you actually do. Now, I run a business, I'm cutting fabric every day, I'm using my rotary cutters every day. I tend to rotate using my rotary cutters, so I will use one for a month and then I'll switch, and at the end of that month I will change the blade. That way I've always got a blade that is fresh each month, but you may not use yours as often as that, and in fact you may get a good 2-3 months worth out of a blade. You may get one whole project out of it, you may not. But I think the thing to remember is just because you've just changed your blade yesterday doesn't necessarily mean that that blade is going to last the duration. You may actually in fact find you're changing it more quickly. If you're finding when you're cutting you're getting kind of wonky cuts or miscuts, that is the time to change your blade. That is your rotary cutter telling you that it needs a new blade. So there we go. That's how to change it, how often to change it, and why you need to change it. So I hope you found this video useful, and I want you all now to go and change those blades in your rotary cutters and then comment down below and let me know when you've done it. I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me know that you guys like the content that I'm putting out, and it will also make sure that you're notified when new content comes out. But for now, take care.